Every day, companies around the world face thousands of cyber attacks. Some attacks steal sensitive data. Others shut down critical systems, causing millions of dollars in losses. As businesses move more of their operations online, cybersecurity has become one of the most important industries of the digital age. And among the many companies competing in this space, one name has emerged as a clear leader: CrowdStrike. But what makes CrowdStrike different? How did a company founded just over a decade ago become one of the most trusted cybersecurity platforms in the world? And has CrowdStrike built one of the strongest competitive moats in the entire software industry? In this video, we'll explore CrowdStrike's business model, competitive advantages, financial performance, growth opportunities, and the key risks investors should understand. When most people hear the word cybersecurity, they often think of antivirus software. But CrowdStrike's business is much broader than that. At its core, CrowdStrike provides a cloud-based security platform that helps organizations protect their entire digital environment. That includes employee devices, cloud infrastructure, user identities, applications, and sensitive data. What makes CrowdStrike unique is that customers don't buy a collection of disconnected security tools. Instead, they gain access to a unified platform where multiple security functions work together. This allows security teams to monitor threats, investigate incidents, and respond to attacks from a single environment. Over time, CrowdStrike has expanded far beyond its original endpoint protection business. Today, the company offers solutions across endpoint security, cloud security, identity protection, threat intelligence, and security operations. This expansion is important because it changes the nature of the business. Rather than relying on a single product, CrowdStrike is building an ecosystem of security services that can grow alongside its customers. A company may start with one security module. But as its needs become more complex, it can add additional capabilities without switching providers. This creates a business model where existing customers can continue generating more revenue over time. And that ability to expand within its customer base has become one of the key drivers behind CrowdStrike's growth. By connecting multiple security functions into a single platform, CrowdStrike is positioning itself not as a product vendor, but as a long-term cybersecurity partner for modern enterprises. A great business needs more than a great product. It also needs a large and expanding market. And that's exactly what makes CrowdStrike's opportunity so compelling. Today, organizations are generating and storing more digital information than ever before. Businesses are moving applications to the cloud. Employees are working across multiple devices and locations. And companies are relying on an increasing number of connected systems to run their operations. As digital environments become more complex, securing them becomes more challenging. This complexity is creating demand for more advanced security solutions that can operate across multiple environments simultaneously. At the same time, cybersecurity spending is becoming less discretionary. For many organizations, security is no longer viewed as an IT expense. It's increasingly seen as a business necessity. A single security incident can disrupt operations, damage customer trust, and create significant financial costs. As a result, companies continue investing in security capabilities even during periods of economic uncertainty. Another important trend is vendor consolidation. Many organizations are looking to reduce the number of security products they manage. Instead of using dozens of separate tools, they prefer integrated platforms that can handle multiple functions in one place. This shift plays directly into CrowdStrike's platform strategy. The company is not only competing for new customers. It is also competing for a larger share of each customer's security budget. Taken together, these trends suggest that CrowdStrike is operating in a market that is both large today and likely to become even larger in the years ahead. For investors, that means the company's future growth may depend less on the overall size of the market and more on its ability to capture a greater portion of that opportunity. Understanding CrowdStrike's products is important. But understanding how the company generates revenue is what helps explain why investors are willing to pay attention to this business. Unlike traditional software companies that rely heavily on one-time sales, CrowdStrike operates primarily through a subscription-based model. Customers pay recurring fees to access the company's security services, creating a steady stream of predictable revenue. This model offers several advantages. First, it provides visibility into future revenue because subscriptions are typically renewed over time. Second, it allows the company to build long-term relationships with customers rather than relying on constant new sales. And third, recurring revenue tends to be more stable than transaction-based revenue models. What makes CrowdStrike particularly interesting is that revenue growth doesn't depend solely on acquiring new customers. Existing customers can increase their spending as they expand their use of CrowdStrike's platform. Over time, organizations often require additional security capabilities as their operations become larger and more complex. This creates opportunities for CrowdStrike to generate more revenue from the same customer relationship. As a result, growth comes from two sources: adding new customers and increasing revenue from existing ones. When both engines are working at the same time, the business can scale efficiently. And because software can be delivered to additional customers with relatively low incremental costs, a growing customer base can eventually translate into stronger profitability and cash generation. This combination of recurring revenue, customer expansion, and scalable economics is one of the reasons CrowdStrike has become one of the most closely followed companies in the software industry. Having a large market opportunity is valuable. But in a competitive industry, growth alone isn't enough. The real question is whether a company can maintain its position as competitors fight for the same customers. For CrowdStrike, much of that advantage comes from the way its platform is designed. Rather than treating security as a collection of separate products, CrowdStrike connects different security functions into a unified system. This allows security teams to see potential threats across their entire environment through a single source of intelligence. The benefit is not simply convenience. The more information that flows through the platform, the more context security teams have when identifying and responding to threats. This creates an advantage that becomes increasingly valuable as organizations grow more complex. Another important strength is CrowdStrike's threat intelligence network. Every day, the platform analyzes vast amounts of security activity across its customer base. These insights help identify emerging attack patterns and suspicious behavior more quickly. In cybersecurity, speed matters. Detecting a threat hours earlier can make a significant difference in limiting damage. This constant flow of intelligence helps improve the effectiveness of the platform over time. CrowdStrike also benefits from strong customer retention. Once a security platform becomes deeply integrated into an organization's operations, replacing it can be both costly and disruptive. Security teams must retrain employees, reconfigure systems, and manage the risk of creating new vulnerabilities during the transition. As a result, customers often prefer to stay with a provider they already trust. Finally, CrowdStrike has built a reputation as one of the leading brands in modern cybersecurity. For enterprise customers, choosing a security vendor is not just a technology decision. It is also a risk management decision. Organizations often prefer proven providers with established track records rather than experimenting with untested alternatives. When you combine platform integration, threat intelligence, customer retention, and brand credibility, you begin to see why CrowdStrike has been able to establish a strong competitive position in an industry where trust and performance are critical. And while competitors continue to innovate, these advantages create barriers that are not easily replicated overnight. No company operates without competition. And cybersecurity is one of the most competitive areas in enterprise software. CrowdStrike's main rivals include Microsoft, Palo Alto Networks, and SentinelOne. Each company approaches the market from a different angle. Microsoft benefits from an enormous installed base. Many organizations already use Windows, Microsoft 365, and Azure, giving Microsoft a natural advantage when offering security solutions alongside its broader software ecosystem. Palo Alto Networks has built a strong position through network security and has expanded aggressively into cloud and security operations. Its strategy focuses on creating a comprehensive security platform across multiple categories. SentinelOne, meanwhile, is often viewed as one of the closest technology-focused competitors in endpoint security. Like CrowdStrike, it was built with a cloud-native architecture and emphasizes automation and AI-driven protection. What makes CrowdStrike particularly interesting is that it doesn't necessarily need to dominate every segment of cybersecurity to succeed. The market itself is large enough to support multiple winners. Instead, CrowdStrike's objective is to continue expanding its role within enterprise security environments while maintaining its leadership in key categories. And based on customer adoption, market presence, and industry recognition, the company remains one of the most influential players in the sector. For investors, this means the key question is not whether competition exists. Competition will always exist. The more important question is whether CrowdStrike can continue executing well enough to defend its position while capturing additional opportunities as the cybersecurity market evolves. Cybersecurity is not a winner-takes-all market. The challenge is not eliminating competitors, but staying ahead of them. A strong business story is important. But ultimately, investors are not buying stories. They're buying future cash flows. So the question becomes: do CrowdStrike's financial results support the investment thesis? Looking at the company's performance over the past several years, one trend stands out immediately. Revenue has grown at an impressive pace. More importantly, this growth has not been driven by a one-time event or temporary demand surge. Instead, it reflects the company's ability to consistently expand its customer base while increasing engagement across its platform. But revenue growth alone doesn't tell the full story. What makes CrowdStrike particularly attractive is the quality of that revenue. The company generates strong gross margins, which indicates that a large portion of each additional dollar of revenue remains available to cover operating expenses and support future growth. This is one of the key advantages of scalable software businesses. As the company grows, it does not need to increase costs at the same rate as revenue. Over time, this creates the potential for improving profitability. Another metric investors often watch closely is free cash flow. Unlike accounting earnings, free cash flow reflects the actual cash a business generates after supporting its operations. For CrowdStrike, cash generation has become increasingly important as the company matures. It demonstrates that growth is not coming at the expense of financial discipline. The business is becoming larger while also producing meaningful amounts of cash. And perhaps most importantly, CrowdStrike has shown an ability to balance growth and profitability at the same time. Many software companies can grow quickly. Others can generate profits. Achieving both simultaneously is far more difficult. That balance is often what separates exceptional businesses from merely good ones. Taken together, these metrics suggest that CrowdStrike's competitive position is not just visible in its products or market share. It is increasingly reflected in the financial performance of the business itself. However, no company's journey is perfectly smooth. And before discussing future opportunities, it's important to examine one of the biggest challenges CrowdStrike has faced in recent years. Up to this point, we've focused primarily on CrowdStrike's strengths. But no investment is complete without examining the risks. And in recent years, CrowdStrike has faced one of the most significant challenges in its history. In July 2024, a software update issued by the company triggered widespread disruptions across organizations around the world. The incident affected businesses, government agencies, transportation systems, healthcare providers, and many other critical services. For a company whose reputation is built on reliability and protection, the event raised important questions. Not necessarily about demand for cybersecurity, but about operational execution. The issue served as a reminder that even highly respected technology companies are not immune to mistakes. As software platforms become increasingly integrated into critical systems, the consequences of errors can become much larger. The immediate impact attracted global attention and increased scrutiny from customers, regulators, and investors alike. For management, the challenge was not simply fixing the technical problem. It was rebuilding confidence. Trust is one of the most valuable assets in cybersecurity, and maintaining that trust requires consistent execution over long periods of time. The good news for investors is that temporary setbacks do not automatically destroy a strong business. However, they do provide valuable information about how management responds under pressure. Moments like these often reveal whether a company's competitive position is truly durable or whether customer relationships are more fragile than they appear. As a result, the key takeaway is not that CrowdStrike experienced a major disruption. The more important question is whether the company can learn from the incident, strengthen its processes, and continue earning the confidence of its customers. Because in cybersecurity, trust is difficult to build, easy to lose, and essential to long-term success. While recent challenges have tested the company's resilience, they have not changed the fundamental question investors care about most. Where does CrowdStrike's growth come from next? To answer that, we need to look at the opportunities that could shape the company's future. While CrowdStrike has already established itself as one of the leading names in cybersecurity, the company's future may look very different from its present. One reason is that cybersecurity itself continues to evolve. New technologies create new opportunities, but they also create new security challenges. And every new challenge expands the need for protection. One potential growth driver is the increasing adoption of artificial intelligence across businesses. As organizations integrate AI into their operations, they introduce new security risks that did not previously exist. Protecting AI systems, monitoring AI-generated activity, and securing sensitive data could become increasingly important over time. Another opportunity comes from cloud infrastructure. Many organizations are still in the early stages of modernizing their technology environments. As businesses continue shifting workloads, applications, and data across different cloud providers, the complexity of managing security also increases. This creates demand for solutions capable of protecting increasingly dynamic environments. Identity security is another area attracting significant attention. In today's digital world, attackers often target user credentials rather than devices themselves. As a result, verifying who has access to systems and information is becoming a critical component of modern security strategies. Beyond individual technologies, there is also a broader trend toward security consolidation. Organizations are under constant pressure to simplify operations, reduce complexity, and improve efficiency. This creates opportunities for companies that can address multiple security needs through a unified approach rather than requiring customers to manage numerous vendors. Taken together, these trends suggest that CrowdStrike's future growth may not depend on a single breakthrough product or one specific market segment. Instead, growth is likely to come from the company's ability to adapt as cybersecurity requirements continue to evolve. And in an industry where change is constant, that adaptability may prove just as important as innovation itself. The opportunity ahead appears significant. But even great businesses are not automatically great investments. For investors, the next question is whether the current stock price appropriately reflects that future potential. So let's examine CrowdStrike's valuation. After examining CrowdStrike's historical valuation multiples and adjusting for extreme market conditions, the company's estimated valuation range remains highly dependent on future growth expectations. Using a blended approach based on historical EV/sales and EV/free cash flow multiples, the estimated fair value ranges from approximately $350 per share in a conservative scenario to $498 per share in an optimistic scenario. Our base case estimate suggests a fair value of around $397 per share. With CrowdStrike currently trading near $671 per share, the stock is trading well above both the historical and optimistic valuation scenarios presented in this analysis. This premium reflects the market's confidence in CrowdStrike's leadership position, expanding cybersecurity platform, strong customer retention, and ability to capture future growth opportunities. However, at current levels, investors are paying not only for the company's existing business performance but also for significant future growth that has yet to be realized. As a result, future returns may depend less on valuation expansion and more on CrowdStrike's ability to sustain rapid revenue growth, increase free cash flow, and successfully execute its long-term strategy. For long-term investors, the key question is no longer whether CrowdStrike is a high-quality business. It clearly is. The more important question is whether future growth can be strong enough to justify the premium valuation that the market is assigning today. CrowdStrike remains one of the highest quality businesses in cybersecurity, but the current share price suggests that much of that quality is already reflected in the stock. CrowdStrike has built one of the strongest competitive positions in the cybersecurity industry through its cloud-native platform, extensive threat intelligence network, and expanding product ecosystem. The company continues to benefit from powerful long-term trends, including increasing cyber threats, growing cloud adoption, and rising enterprise security spending. Financially, CrowdStrike has demonstrated strong revenue growth, improving profitability, and substantial free cash flow generation, reinforcing the strength of its business model. However, the stock currently trades at a premium valuation, suggesting that investors already expect significant future growth and continued operational excellence. For long-term investors, CrowdStrike remains a high-quality business with attractive growth prospects, but future returns may depend on the company's ability to execute consistently and justify the market's high expectations. Ultimately, CrowdStrike may not be the cheapest cybersecurity stock today, but it remains one of the most compelling businesses in the sector for investors focused on long-term value creation. CrowdStrike's story is ultimately a reminder that great businesses and great investments are not always the same thing. The company has established itself as a leader in cybersecurity, benefiting from powerful industry tailwinds, a strong competitive moat, and an expanding platform that continues to deepen customer relationships. At the same time, the market recognizes these strengths, which is why the stock trades at a premium valuation compared to many of its peers. For investors, the key question is not whether CrowdStrike is a great business. It clearly is. The real question is whether the company's future growth can continue to exceed the high expectations already reflected in today's share price. As always, this video is not financial advice. Please do your own research before making any investment decisions. Thank you for watching, and if you enjoyed this analysis, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments below.